Hey Gainesville, it's John Dar with Dar Shackow Insurance. I want to show you this is my outdoor home office. See, I'm in my little backyard area. Nice cool morning. I get to sit out here, a laptop. I've even got my stand for my YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe to that. Anyway, just wanted to give a shout out to everyone and say, hey, we're gonna make it through this. We're gonna work hard and survive. Here's to all you local small business, Gainesville business owners out there. Take care, stay safe, and stay healthy.
You are listening to WHOA Podcast, coming to you from Gainesville, Florida.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the WHOA GNV Podcast, the Coronavirus Sessions. This is what we're doing to try to keep our business audience, our community, the entire Gainesville community, kind of informed on what's happening and sharing the stories of the business owners and the impact that this thing is having on them, their organizations, their teams, their families, and their perspective on how it's like really hitting the community. Have had some great conversations so far, and I'm super interested to see how these go. We're going to be putting them out daily. Every weekday at noon, and they're intended to be about a half hour. So we'll try to keep it to that. But want to remind everybody before we get into it that on Friday, April 10th, we just decided to do this Friday, April 10th at 5 p.m. We're going to be doing a little WHOA GNV networking session. I don't know how we will network on Zoom, but it's going to be on Zoom. Everybody grab a beer, show up. I'll have the link out there, and if anything, we'll just all look at each other and just drink beer. So
what could be better?
Yeah, like what could be better than that? I mean, we're stuck at home anyway. We might as well like look at each other on a screen and have a beer together, right? So,
Right.
Exactly. So hey, before we get into this episode, definitely want to thank our sponsors. And this particular episode is going to be brought to you by Dar Shackow Insurance, our man John Dar over at Dar Shackow Insurance. They insure all of our stuff at New Scooters for Less. And I mean, my stuff here personally, like if this breaks, like they'll take care of it because this is insured through. So shout out to John Dar and the crew at Dar Shackow Insurance. Thank you for supporting our podcast and taking care of us. You guys can reach out to them. They'll take care of all your insurance needs. Their phone number is 352-338-0552. Or find them at darshackow.insurance.com, baby. So
and go follow John Dar on YouTube. Get him up to 1,000 subscribers.
Do it. He's dropping the knowledge bombs. It's funny. We're gonna get him back on here, but I asked him like, dude, I'm ready for like pandemic insurance to come out now, and he's like, oh, you can guarantee it's like
for sure.
It's being worked up. So hey, like we want to introduce our guest today. Our guest is DiEugenio from Cartridge World. What is up, man? How are you doing?
Oh, I'm hanging in there, man. Just like everybody else, trying to make the most of this. But doing well. Glad to be on here. So it's good to see both of you guys. I know it's been a while since we've been able to catch up.
Yeah, it's good to see you too, man. So, so talk to me about this thing, man. Here it is. It hit everybody, a week or two, a couple weeks ago now, a week and a half ago, feels like. But when did you realize like you were gonna have to adjust? What adjustments have you made? What's been the general impact of this on you guys?
Sure. I did kind of feel like I was a little late to the table. I do a fairly self-proclaimed terrible job of paying attention to global headlines on a regular basis. I try to focus on what affects me more day to day than focusing on what may be happening halfway around the world that really isn't going to affect me till way down the line. So I was pretty late to the party. I felt, so it was probably 2 weeks ago when I started hearing about all the panic buying and stuff like that, that I really realized, hey, I need to do some research on this, and I need to kind of be brought up to speed. So, started finding, reputable information more than, my Facebook newsfeed. Tried to find, go to the CDC and get real concrete information. And then then I had a pretty frank conversation with my team and said, all right, guys, I need to know what you feel comfortable with. How do you feel like we should adjust and respond to this? And for a while, we were still making deliveries. Nothing had changed for us. And then very quickly we started going to, what I call like the blind drop, where we were leaving stuff at the door and knocking on the door, telling them that we left it there, and they were coming out and getting it after we left. And now we're pretty much doing 100% of our fulfillment through FedEx and UPS.
Okay. So you just shifted to shipping the ink out from the store, from your location?
Yeah. So it's been an added expense, obviously, with the cost of shipping versus just having a delivery guy drive around town and drop stuff off. But we're still offering that as a free service to our clients because we offer free delivery in general. We're doing our best to continue offering that. But I have a feeling if this thing continues on for many months, we're going to have a conversation with some of our clients and try and recoup some of that cost.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it would be, go ahead, Mike.
I was just gonna say, so walk me through that process. I mean, did you know that you were gonna keep it free and just eat that cost right away, or were there conversations about passing it on to the customers? Because that is an added expense.
Sure. So I didn't really consider passing it on to the customer. I really made the decision to move to the shipping fulfillment method simply for the safety of my team. I know, especially Alachua County has been hit pretty hard by this. I think you guys are up close to 80 cases at the time of recording this. And my delivery guy, Vince, he's older. He's in that age bracket where, it is concerning for him to be out going around town and interacting with the general public. So I really made it from the standpoint of it was a safety concern for him. And I also felt like it was the right thing. We offer free delivery. So to turn around and ask my customers for more money just because I decided not to have him deliver it didn't seem fair at the time.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, I think, I mean, this is just one perspective, but, I think in these kind of instances, I think transparency just totally wins, right? I think if you send out a newsletter just kind of telling clients, hey, this is what's going on. This is what we've done. We ate it for the first month. We're probably not going to be able to do that moving forward. So we'd really appreciate you guys if we allowed us to ship your orders to you and maybe at least subsidize and maybe split it with them or something. I don't know. Sure. I just feel like I feel like a lot of people would be understanding, and that's what's been kind of cool about this, honestly. Like from a community standpoint, like everybody coming together and being really empathetic with each other's like situation and like understanding. I mean, I forwarded an email to you yesterday, Mike, and to a couple other people. I mean, just like customers that responded to my newsletter that I sent out. Just kind of informing customers what's going on. And they're just like, just really nice and over the top. Like, I mean, just sweet and concerned and like just this genuine feel of community and support, So like, that's what that's like the benefit of something like this. I know it's always hard to look at the positives of a pandemic, right? But like if there is one, it's been just everybody kind of coming together and relating to each other on this thing, because we're all going through it in some sort of capacity and we're all being affected in one way or another. So it's been cool to see that.
For sure, man. And I that's one thing that I think the Gainesville community is great about is rallying around itself. The one thing that always hits near and dear to my heart is don't forget about your locally owned franchises. We're part of a franchise system, and I feel like sometimes we get a strike against us because people feel as though we're not a local business. And growing up, my dad owned an Arby's restaurant. He had a couple of Arby's franchises, and while I send 8 cents of every dollar back to corporate to pay for the branding and the marketing that they do for us, that other 92 cents stays right here in our local market. And that's what we use to sponsor things around town. And So I absolutely agree that rallying around the local community has been great. But don't forget about those locally owned franchises there too.
Yeah. Super interesting, man. I never even thought about that. The franchise aspect of it kind of being, pushed aside in the perspective of small business, which it shouldn't be. So that's, it's interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely something that I don't think that you are in the minority there. I think it's something that a lot of people forget about, that those, just because it does have a nationwide brand or logo on the door, doesn't mean that it's owned by a big conglomerate. Like my parents owned just one unit for the longest time, but that was how they put us kids through school and supported us growing up.
So you guys are deemed an essential business as office supply and everything. Have you noticed any fallback, lack of orders and stuff like that by other businesses closing down or staying at home and stuff? Like, are you having business interruptions, or is it maybe more demand, or how is it affecting you?
Sure. It's a little bit of a mixed bag. I'll start off by saying we're definitely down. Sales are definitely down. But we are deemed essential, and we do have a lot of clients that are in the medical industry. So they're still calling us. They're still placing orders for paper and toner and things like that. I've done a lot of FaceTime troubleshooting for printer service and repair, and that's just because they wanted to limit the number of people that they have in their office. So I completely understand that, but yeah, it's definitely coming in waves. It seems like, there's days that we get one or two phone calls, and then the next day the phone will be ringing off the hook, and we'll be shipping, 10, 15 orders in a day, and versus, we'll go 4 or 5 days without any. And it's definitely been interesting and trying to adjust to it.
Now, I'm curious, is that FaceTime troubleshooting, is that something that you did before, or is that brand new as a response to this?
I did some of it before. A lot of it we used to, if I was out of town, or if I wasn't near a client, or I was in a meeting or whatever, it was kind of a way for me to get the information that I need to know whether I needed to order parts or something like that. But most of the time I was already in town, and it's like, I'll schedule, or I've got a block this afternoon. I'll squeeze you in for 15 minutes and stop by and take a look at it. But pretty much all of that is stopped because unless I really have a reason to go into town to see a client or be on site, I'm staying at home.
So, I mean, are you guys like, are you good, or are you at a state of worry? I mean, are you in a state of panic? Did you go and buy all the toilet paper when everybody else was buying the toilet paper? I mean, just like, what's your general, feeling and perspective on things like right now?
Sure. On the personal side of things, we're definitely good. My fiance Xandra and I, we generally keep a pretty good stock of stuff around the house. So there wasn't really any crazy panic buying or anything like that we went through. On the business side of things, thankfully, I've planned fairly well. I've been fairly conservative financially. So right now I would say we're maintaining. It's definitely got my attention. This is not, we're not doing a volume of business that we could support long term. But right now we're okay. We haven't laid anybody off. We don't foresee laying anybody off. We haven't cut pay for anyone. We're maintaining at the moment.
So how many times do you have to crumple a piece of printer paper for it to equal like a Charmin Basic soft?
It's all about the quilted. You gotta fold it over. So when you crumple it, you end up with sharp edges.
Might need you to demo that for us later. We'll have to do that.
We'll come back, podcast the B side, and we'll get into that.
B is for the backside, right?
Right.
So I mean, let's talk about the community a little bit. I mean, from talking about Gainesville. I mean, how do you think we're gonna come through this? I mean, I've already seen a lot of companies have to lay people off. I've heard of a few companies closing. One of the reasons I wanted to start these little short coronavirus daily podcast sessions is to try to help prevent that as much as possible, right? Like how can we share the stories? How can we learn from each other and adjust and adapt and ensure that the majority of us make it through this thing? So how do you, like, what things have you noticed in the community, and how do you feel about that, and what's your general perspective on us getting through this as a whole?
Yeah, man. I'd say the Gainesville community has always been very resilient. So there's no doubt in my mind that they will bounce back. It's just a matter of when. Obviously, they've got the 900-pound gorilla in the room that is UF, that brings so much money to the city and so much to the table for so many small businesses, that I feel like Gainesville is going to bounce back a lot faster as soon as the university is back to running at 100%. Because I know while we don't directly sell a lot to the University of Florida, we sell a lot to businesses that do a lot with the University of Florida. Like you guys are the perfect example. If you don't have 50,000 students coming into town in August to buy scooters, you're not going to print anything, and subsequently you're not going to buy anything from me. So that's, I see that as being going to be the big accelerator for Gainesville's recovery. My heart definitely goes out for those folks that have had to make the hard decision of either laying people off in order to save the business, or have just been caught off guard and have been forced to close the business already. That's really tough. I'm very, very thankful, and I do not take for granted that we are in a position that at least we still have some revenue coming in. While it may be smaller than what we're used to, at least we still have something there to support us and to keep the business going.
Yeah. It's funny just hearing you talk about UF, and just like, I'm getting my own questions and my own thoughts, right? I'm thinking to myself, okay, like, what if this thing doesn't pass as quickly as we hope it will? What if there are no classes in August? Like, what if there's no football season? It's so interesting. I've never been a what if kind of person. I've always been a very good, been able to adapt and just go with the flow and adjust as necessary, but now I can't help but wonder, okay, what if this thing does go the rest of the year?
Right.
Who knows? I mean, you're talking things are already detrimental to a lot of businesses. If we're not able, if UF is not 100% by August, I think we're gonna have a lot of people in trouble. So I don't know. That's interesting, Mike. What are your thoughts? Have you ever thought about there not being a football season?
Well, it's funny you bring that up, because I immediately think about the fact that, to some extent, we've seen businesses close in recent memory because of construction and hoping to get to football season as their saving grace, because they know how much that they capitalized on that, but they couldn't make it. And this is not coronavirus. This is just construction going up that's displaced people's parking. So now you have this mass exodus of UF students, faculty, everything out of the Gainesville area, and the businesses that are still able to open and operate, they can, but maybe they just don't have anybody to sell to. So that's a really challenging aspect of this. Is sometimes it's not a matter of, is your business interrupted because of your operations, but do you have a client base?
Mm-hmm. So
that's hard. To answer your question, did I ever imagine not having a football season? Let's hope that everything is in full swing by the time we get there. But because I think that it's easy to kind of laugh about it and smile and joke, because it is funny. But Gainesville relies on that from a tourism standpoint so much. especially in the I-75 areas, the hospitality areas, the restaurants and everything over there. They rely so much on the game day traffic, and it is part of our fabric. So it's, from a sports fan standpoint, it's terrifying to think of not having a football season, but as a Gainesville resident and somebody that loves the community, it's a huge part of what we do.
Yeah,
man.
I mean, I completely agree. I mean, I know so many folks that they focus their whole year around, we just have to make it to football season. And whether that be from a restaurant standpoint of just people coming into town, or whether it be catering at tailgates or whatever, but so much of their revenue comes from those, 12 weeks out of the year that they're home. And so it's definitely a scary thought.
I mean, even just talking about the scooter business, I mean, even though it's not necessarily football based, I mean, it's still like back to school, August based, right? I mean, 20 to 25% of our annual revenue comes from that 1 month. Like that's huge, right? And if we don't have that, dude, like who knows? I mean, I
that's also when we're buying the most printer ink.
Exactly. Trust me, we track all that.
Just keep dropping it off. Man, right. It's dude, it's crazy. It's crazy just to like reflect and think about the possibility. So. And
that's one of the things that we've tried to move into as well for our business to try and help support the local community is, we've got a fleet of loaner printers that we usually hand out. Like you guys have gotten a couple of them. When your printer breaks down in August, you don't have time for us to wait, 3 or 4 days to get parts in. So we just give you a loaner printer and then we fix yours and get it back to you eventually. But we've got that fleet of loaner printers sitting there in the warehouse that I've been trying to loan those out to anybody who's trying to build out a home office. This is a service that we're doing for free. We're not charging anybody for it. It's one of those things where we're just giving you a printer. We'll get it set up remote for you if we need to. We'll do a screen share like this or something. We're trying to do that for free and just to keep business flowing, just to keep people up and running. And, when this is all over, we'll sit down and try and figure out if there's a way to make that work where, we charge you a couple dollars for it or whatever. But at the end of the day, if your business is struggling, you say, man, we just don't have the budget for it. It's fine. Don't worry about it. It was a printer that was sitting there. You got to use some ink out of it. We just take the printer back.
That's great, man. Thanks for doing that, bro.
Yeah. I was going to ask if there's much issue with supply. I mean, you said you got a fleet of loaner printers and stuff, but it has, what you do on the local level, is that affected by supply on a corporate level or anything where you get your printers, your ink, anything like that from?
So it hasn't yet, I guess is the best way to answer that. We've got a lot of great partners that manufacture product right here in the United States. So we haven't been affected by any of the import, the stopping of the ports, I guess. Where I think we're definitely going to start to feel the squeeze is on the hardware side. All of the printers are pretty much made in China, Japan, or Taiwan. And so if they close the ports, while we do have some inventory here in the States in warehouses, once that dries up, if there's nothing coming in, there's nothing for us to buy. So that's been one of the hardest things. One of our IT partners the other day, we were talking about it, and he had a client who needed to buy 10 new laptops to get their employees set up to work at home. And he approved the quote. We jumped on and we went to go order them, and there's no stock, and they have no ETA because they have no idea when HP is going to be able to import laptops again. So so it's been tough. So their last resort is to become the end consumer and go to a Best Buy or an Amazon or something like that and hope that they have inventory to be able to buy.
It makes you appreciate the supply chain, right? Like you realize like this is such a global problem that you start to really appreciate all those connections. I was having dinner out here with my family on this porch, and I was trying to explain this to my kids. I mean, they're 10 and 6, and they don't have a full grasp of it, of everything that's going on, but I'm trying to explain to them that they're living through a very historical moment. And, you know, and I'm talking to them, I'm like, Schaefer, you don't understand that. So your dad, like, here I am buying scooters, right? These scooters are being distributed by a company called Piaggio USA, like here in the United States, but they're being imported from Italy. Like Vespas are manufactured in Italy, and Italy has been on a government like lockdown. These are people who go to a manufacturing facility and make these products. And, you know, so I'm trying to make them understand that whole chain of how the products get from Italy to our store, and that if business shuts down in Italy or, you know, China or Taiwan or wherever else we get our vehicles from, that it could potentially, especially like you say, long term, have significant impact on whether or not we even have product to sell. You know, so it's interesting. It's made me appreciate and even think about the health of those workers and those manufacturing plants in Italy and overseas. You know, and it's definitely have given me a perspective and just a deeper appreciation for, you know, business, commerce, all the things that we take for granted on a daily basis. I just have a deeper appreciation for it now, you know?
Even just the local business. I mean, I think that we live in a society where we'd much rather sit at home and order stuff off of Amazon. But when that's interrupted and your local business can get it to you tomorrow or today, it makes you appreciate that much more. And I think the hope is, and this is obviously long-term thinking, is that they are habits and their sentiments that are going to maintain, hopefully once this is done, where you're going to be going to your local business maybe more than you used to.
Yeah.
At least that's the hope.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I would be lying if I didn't say, you know, like a part of our goal with giving away these printers for free is not to, you know, is for down the line, you know, you guys to go, yeah, that Cartridge World was there for us. They got us out of a bind, you know. Their cartridge is $2 more than Amazon. I think it's worth the $2 at this point in time. You know, I know that I've shifted a lot of my spending to try and keep it as local as possible. Whether that be, you know, something as simple as buying business cards or, you know, trying to, you know, buy a car locally instead of going to one of the dealerships in one of the bigger markets and buy it there. So I hope that it does become habit. I hope that that money or that business still stays local even after we've recovered from this.
Yeah, when I put out in a video just recently talking about talking to small business owners here in Gainesville, saying, hey, you guys, like, you have to adapt. Look at this as an opportunity, right? We got to find the opportunity in the darkness. Now, like, here's your chance. Start creating content, start sharing your story. But one of the things that I really hit heavily was, like, be the Amazon Prime of your product or service. Like, be that in Gainesville. Figure out a way to take your product and service directly to the, you know, your client, your customer, you know, because then hopefully once this thing is done, it sticks, right? And they'll just go directly to you. So I think you guys are spot on there. I really, really like that. So, hey man, so if anybody wants to get in touch with you, if they want to get one of these loaner printers, like, what's the best way for them to contact you at this moment?
Sure, man. So you can always go to our website, which is cartridgeworldusa.com, and then just type in your zip code, your Gainesville zip code. That'll take you to our store landing page where we have got all of our contact information there, email addresses, and all that stuff. You can always reach me directly. Phone number is 352-505-6626, extension 100.
Awesome. Yo, man, thanks for coming on the show and talking business with us, talking coronavirus with us.
Yeah, man. Thanks for having me. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah, man. If there's anything that you need, let us know. But hang in there. Keep grinding. Keep doing the good things that you're doing. We're super appreciative to have a business like yours here in Gainesville, man. And
thanks, guys. I appreciate it. If you same goes for you guys. If you need anything, don't hesitate to reach out. And that goes for anybody that's listening to this as well. Like, please reach out. We want to be a resource here. We want to help you guys. So it's time we're all into this together. So we got to rally around ourselves.
Sure. Mike, what
right
are you
on.
saying?
Yeah, I just always love catching up with you, David. Appreciate everything you're doing, and like you said, we'll get through this.
Absolutely, man. It's been far too long. So when we get on the other side of this, instead of having a beer over Zoom, we'll actually have one in real life.
That sounds like a plan.
I'm still looking forward to having a beer over Zoom. I just want to see how it goes.
Right.
I'm wondering if I'm gonna have to upgrade the account because I only have space for like 100 people and like 25 already said yes. So I'm like, we still got like a week and a half to go. So I guess we could have done it on the 3rd. Mike was like, let's do it on the 3rd. I was like, no, it'll take forever for us to promote it more. We're gonna need to like build it up some.
Yeah, I forgot who I was dealing with. This is going to end up being like a 500-person thing. So.
Right. Well, hey, you know, I mean, I'm free in a couple hours. Why do we have to wait until?
Let's do it, man. Let's do it. So, and hey, podcast fan, everybody who's listening, look, like our podcast, like my business, you know, Mike's business, our team, we need y'all support. We need your help too. One of the biggest ways you can help us right now is by buying a shirt. Like we got these really awesome podcast shirts. I mean, I think they're like $20 at whoagnv.com. It helps us fund this podcast and helps like pay for our bills too. So like, please support us, buy a shirt or buy a shirt for somebody else. And definitely keep supporting your local businesses. Can people get gift cards like from you guys, David? Like
Absolutely.
Gift cards. I mean, that's been huge right now. I know a lot of restaurants and stuff who have been hurt. Like, you know, we're really pushing gift cards. Like buy a gift card from them, give them $100 now so that they can like pay their teams and then like buy the pizza or buy like whatever food it is, you know, 6 months from now, you know? So like consider doing that. There's ways that you can help support small business, even if you don't need the product or service in this very moment. So definitely consider that. And podcast family, we're just super appreciative of you. Keep supporting Gainesville. Keep supporting these small businesses. We absolutely love you guys. This is the WHOA GNV podcast, the podcast bringing you businesses and individuals that make you go, whoa. Wow. We'll see you later. Bye.
See you guys.